What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Unlockables podcast, the story of video games, the people who play them, and the memories made along the way. As always, I am your host, Eric, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in wherever, whenever in time and space you might be located. It means a lot that you spend a little bit of your valuable time with us each and every week to check in and listen to what we have to say. Now, a little bit of a different episode for Unlockables this week. I don't normally talk about more modern game releases, more current game releases, but if you know me or know the show, you know that I couldn't help but talk about this one. And I figured I wouldn't be able to do it alone. I had to call in some help. So today we are going to be talking about Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the recent expansion for Capcom's Monster Hunter Rise, which released in 2021. And I felt that I couldn't do it alone. So I enlisted the help of a fellow hunter. He is one half of the Switch It Up podcast. His partner Colby was on the show a couple weeks ago. Please help me welcome Tyler from Switch It Up. Tyler, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to deep dive into this. That's
Yeah, perfect.
I've been preparing for this recording session all day. I'm very excited to get started.
I'm excited to have you on, man. I knew, I think pretty much right away when I found yours and Colby's show, I think it wasn't that much long that we both discovered that we love Monster Hunter. I think it might have been one of the first episodes I listened to, and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be the start of a beautiful friendship. Once you've discovered the person who loves Monster Hunter, it's just, that's it. It's game over.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's an instant connection for sure.
Yeah. So before we dive into it real quick, why don't you just remind everybody and tell them kind of what you do with over at Switch It Up podcast?
Sure. So as Eric said, I am one half of the Switch It Up podcast. I co-host the podcast with my best friend Colby, and we've been doing the podcast for about 3 years now. And our podcast is a gaming podcast about all things Nintendo, though sometimes we do branch out into other games and mediums like we are doing right now, specifically for this game in question. But yeah, he and I, this is our Switch It Up as our passion project. We it's more, at least for me, I always think of it as that it's mostly a way for us to stay connected. Mm-hmm. We lived apart for most of our lives, him in New York, me in Pennsylvania. He eventually moved to where I went to high school, and we spent many years actually going to the same high school. And now at college, he has since moved on to North Carolina. So the show that we've been doing is a nice way for us to stay in contact. I've literally known this guy since birth, and he's just the best friend I could ever ask for. And I couldn't talk about video games to any other person the way that I do unless it's with him. So yeah, if you're looking for two college students rambling on about video games, that's us. So yeah, that's our show.
That's awesome. And as you know, me as a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts, I fucking love the power of friendship to death. So that's, I love it. It's so great.
It's a good origin story, right?
It's a great origin story. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Before we dive into our title game today, Monster Hunter, I do like to break the ice and just ask, have you been playing anything else other than Monster Hunter lately?
See, now you'd have to define the time frame that lately constantiates, because
like the past month or so, it's fine.
Okay, month, then yeah, a little bit. I've been playing for the podcast specifically Fire Emblem Three Hopes, a game in the same universe of the game that started this our whole show, Three Houses. And we've Colby and I have been playing through that alongside some of our other podcasting friends. It's a tiring experience. It's a long game. It's a long slog. And I decided to take a break from that game by playing another game more, which is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which has taken up the bulk of my time for the past few weeks. So yeah, besides the topic of this podcast episode, Three Hopes is the only other thing I've been playing besides Sunbreak.
That makes sense. Yeah, just listening, and you guys did an awesome first episode on the first path you guys played, and I've been eagerly awaiting the second one, and that was like 2.5, almost like 3 hour extravaganza, and I was like, this is great. I love it. I was like, I had no idea this game was this meaty. So yeah, that's awesome. As for me, I haven't been playing too much else other than Sunbreak, honestly. Kingdom Hearts for the show, obviously, and I've been trying to get through that so I can put out my episode on that. And recently picked up last week, yeah, as of this recording, it'll be last week. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out, and been diving into that a little bit. I was on the fence about it, but I was like, oh, I'll check this out because I played the second one. So yeah, I'll probably have a review on that in like 8 or 9 months when I eventually finish it, because I've heard that's a long one. So
yeah. Colby did just pick up that game today, on the day of the recording anyway. He does box art reviews on our podcast Twitter account, so I saw that he picked it up.
Interesting.
He is not going to have time to play that game. I know it for a fact. I don't know what he's thinking, but he did play Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and he skipped 2 and he went right to 3, so I'll be interested to hear his thoughts on the game in probably a few years when he finishes it.
Same here, because I did play 2, and I think I put about 100 hours into that game before I finished it. So yeah, I don't know what either of us are thinking, but yeah, that'll be. I'm excited to check out that one. But okay, well, obviously we're just stalling to get to the main event, so let's dive into Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the main event of this week's episode. Right, Tyler. So before we dive into Sunbreak proper, I kind of want to ask you, because I think we talked about it a little bit, and I think you and I both have a similar, I guess you could call it, origin stories of how we came to the franchise. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we both kind of got into Monster Hunter as a series. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that, where you kind of jumped in and how long you've been a fan?
Sure. It's not exactly a long story, but so one thing you got to know about me straight off the bat is my memory is horrible. Colby will mention that to you. Everyone who knows me personally will mention that to you. My memory is very bad. So I can't remember the exact circumstances of the purchasing of Monster Hunter World for the Xbox One. But I remember that me and another good buddy of mine who lives around here, again, one of my best friends, like almost equal in like connection that I have with him, to Colby. And he is also an avid gamer as well. We both, I don't remember exactly how we heard about World, but I think we saw some videos on YouTube about it. And this was shortly after its release, I'm pretty sure. We saw some of the weapon trailers just show up in our recommended, and he was talking to me about it, and I, looked them up myself, and I was like, oh geez, this looks really cool. What's this game? Monster Hunter? I think I've heard the name before, but I had never known what it was until that moment. But that we went out to Best Buy with his dad, and I got a physical copy. He got a digital copy.
Oh, nice.
And we sat down that day to play, and geez, I'm not sure we stopped until like the following morning. Like,
oh my God.
Like we were immediately in love with this game. Honestly, because this was a time where like I was into like Call of Duty, like what was it, Black Ops 3 I think came out around that time. Some shooters, and
there've been a lot of them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was. I just remember that it was like I was in the grip of games that were like loot boxes, microtransactions, all that sort of thing. And then this game comes out, none of that stuff, and it's the best damn game I've ever played in my life. Like, it really did open my eyes. Like, oh, this is how good games can be.
Yeah,
I need to put my standards a little bit higher from now on. Like that. World is definitely like a hallmark in my sort of gaming career, like a big eye opener of like, wow, this quality is unmatched on any other game I've played in my life. So, and then after that, I was following the series religiously. I did a lot of research, and I would go and watch YouTube videos on the history of the series, and I tried to get more insight onto how the series has changed. And obviously, World was the first big Western release that got a huge amount of people into the series. It's Capcom's best-selling game of all time, at least to date. And then when Rise was announced for the Switch, with the, probably my favorite console, I was that was a pre-order day one install, and I'm sure we'll get more into our Rise journey eventually. But that's my origin story with Monster Hunter. Not too terribly long, but a very fond moment in my gaming career.
Yeah, for sure. Mine's not much longer. I actually touched base with the series at one point prior to Monster Hunter World. It was back when I had like a launch PlayStation Portable PSP, and I saw the game. I don't remember exactly where. It must have been like a gaming magazine or something when those were still a thing. And I just saw it. I was like, "Whoa, this game looks really cool! Like it's a dude with a giant sword fighting like giant dinosaurs. Like that's awesome. Anybody can get on board with that concept." And so I went and I picked up a copy for the PSP and I played it. And I just remember falling off of it relatively quickly because the PSP was maybe like 10, 15 years ago when it first launched or something like that. It's been a while. And I just don't think my mind could like wrap around like all of the concepts and the systems in the game. Because even fairly that far back, the game was still relatively a deep game with all the different weapons and crafting and all that kind of stuff. And from what I hear, lacking a lot of the quality of life improvements that World introduced into the series. So I think I traded it in pretty quick and was just like, this is not a series for me. And then World rolls around and, I had the pleasure of going to E3 2017, one of the first times they opened it to the public, and they had a really awesome Monster Hunter World booth that had like a giant Rathalos that was like hanging from the rafters. It was super cool. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it as much because I just was like, oh, Monster Hunter, whatever. Like, don't like that series. And then the game came out and just kind of caught fire, and everyone was just talking about like how great it was. And one of my good friends was like, hey, you should pick this up. It's my first time playing. Like, it's really good. And I was like, I don't know. And so finally I bit the bullet, bought it on PS4 and played it. And I did that first Great Jagras fight with all of the 14 weapons just to try them all out. And I was kind of instantly hooked from there. I went on the internet. I watched weapon workshop videos to like pick out what weapon I wanted to, 30-minute videos on like every single weapon and just like deep dive into it. And I think definitely too, I was playing with my friend on the PlayStation 4. And I think having a friend to play with too definitely made it a lot more accessible.
Oh my God. Yeah.
From there, same as history. I was kind of in the same boat as you. I was playing I was just coming off of having graduated college a few years ago, and I was still my friends and I were playing a lot of like Overwatch and Rocket League and, the Call of Duties and the competitive shooters and stuff like that. And I was playing Destiny, which is probably what I was thinking the most time into, which was looter shooter, competitive, PvE raids, all that kind of stuff. And once I hit World, I was like, wow, this really changed like my view on games because it was such a different style of game. It was different pace. You're not shooting 400 enemies in 3 minutes. You're fighting one monster for a half hour. And it's like, this is completely different. And for me, it was definitely a transformative. I thought I was done having transformative experiences when it came to gaming. And I was like, oh, well, okay, a game about fighting dinosaurs with swords is going to change my entire perspective on everything I thought I loved about video games. It's nuts. So, And from there, bought World. I ended up buying it again on the PC because a lot more of my friends are playing on PC. And then got Iceborne. And then, once they announced Rise, I was like, oh, man, like they're building off the system of World and putting it on the Switch. I was like, easy, day one. Especially because they gave away for the pre-order the Golden Retriever skin for the dog. and I have a golden retriever, so I was like, that's easy, yeah, no problem. So yeah, that's kind of where I came into it, and I think I put one more question on my outline too. What was it? What do you think? What do you think it was about World that kind of grabbed you? And one other thing to combo with that question, like I've tried to convince my friends to get into the series and they haven't. So like, how do you tell people? It's like, hey, you have this crazy game where you fight one monster every half hour, and it's like this crazy gameplay loop where it's like you're not always doing something, you're preparing for the next hunt. Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah. Honestly, I will start off with the latter question first, because it is hard. Like, I have pestered Colby specifically for years now. I'm like, please, dude, please get Monster Hunter. I know you will
really love it.
Please.
I think he would enjoy it.
And he said to me recently, like, I pulled the Maximilian dude card on him because I'm like, Maximilian dude plays it. You like him. Why don't you try it? And he said, look, I've seen it. I've seen gameplay. It doesn't look like it jives with me. Like, it is really a game that the feeling that you get when you're playing it is really not describable. Like, you have to play it to figure it out. You know what I mean? And specifically, what about the series made me sink so much time into it? At least in World, what caught me in World was I just couldn't believe that, because like games have a spectrum of like graphics, like graphics on one axis, and what do I want to say on the, I guess sort of like gameplay on the other axis, performance rather, where, one sometimes suffers if you go too far into the other extreme. And I just couldn't, like, that game is still absolutely gorgeous. Like, I cannot believe, and I'm not a big graphics guy. Like, I do not mind, like, as long as the game is stylized and the art style is deliberate and it fits with the themes of the game, I really don't mind how it looks. But World was just so alive, and that was the point, that you have these huge maps, like, they are literally their own self-contained ecosystems. You don't need to fight the monsters. You can just go in with a ghillie mantle and just watch the world unfold around you, and it looks so natural. You get so immersed into this world, these ecosystems, and that's what really grabbed me. And then, oh my god, there's this whole deep combat system attached to this crazy visual experience that is so addicting, and just the level of detail, like the listening to interviews and like looking at articles that the developers talk about these games, the passion is so clear to see in the way that they talk about these games, the little details you see in the monsters' behaviors, the tiny animations that you might not notice if you're not paying attention. I don't know. It really was just, I felt the passion of the developers come through every ounce of the game, and that intoxicated me and made me just want to play in their world more. And of course the gameplay loop being so, you are doing the same thing over and over again, but it's so good, and sometimes it gets even better every single time that you do it. And I don't know, it's an indescribable feeling, but just, I don't know, I feel like that thing about just feeling the passion of developers in the combat system and in the environments that they created, kind of, I don't know, it just rubbed off on me and made me want to experience more and stay in there to see what it had to offer.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things I've had trouble doing, because I find that it is a very specific type of game for a specific type of person. Like it has to grab you like that for you to get it. There's eventually a point where when you're playing it and it kind of clicks and you're like, oh, I get what this is about now. And it's either for you or it's not. So it's like the problem I've had, like recommending it to people, like some people have reached out to me and like, hey, I see Rise is on sale. Should I pick it up? And I'm like, me in my heart, I want to tell you yes, because I love it and I want to share my love of the game with you and want you to play it with me. But when I tell them, they're like, well, what's your history with the game? And I'm like, well, I picked it up and I fought the same monster with all 14 weapons. And then I watched like 4 hours of videos to figure out how I wanted to play the game. And they're like, oh, you have to like watch videos to like figure out how to play the game, which you don't necessarily have to, but doing the research beforehand, I think enhanced my enjoyment and experience of the game. For sure. It taught me a lot of things that World didn't really do a good job of like teaching you up front. It just kind of took for granted that you had base Monster Hunter experience. But But I agree with you on a lot of same points. And one of my favorite things they did was when they talked about the development of World specifically, they were like, before they even started nailing down the combat and the having your player in the world, they wanted to nail down how all of the monsters would interact with the world and with each other in that world before they even put your character in there. And I think that really shows. And the way I try to sell people on this gameplay loop where you're doing the same thing over and over again is like, for me, it's easy because I grew up with JRPGs where you would just grind, and I would grind for like 15 hours and I'd be like, this is great. I'm having so much fun fighting the same thing over and over again. So it really scratches that part of my lizard brain where it's like, oh, I got to grind. And something about, trying to get that one specific item drop. And then when you get it, it's you're like, yes, I fucking got the item I needed. And then just having like a checklist of things to make all your different armors and all your weapons. It's just like, it's kind of weird when you talk about it out loud, but it all just, and it doesn't, when you explain it out loud, it's not something you think that like is appealing, but it comes together in like a really fantastic way. And something else I try to emphasize to people too, it's like, and I'm piggybacking off of what Dave Jackson, Tales from the Backlog, said in one of his Elden Ring episodes. One of the things he talked about Elden Ring is like, Elden Ring gives you the tools to make the game as easy or as hard as you want. Like, it gives you the tools. Like, it might not tell you like up front, and you might struggle for a little bit, but it hands you all the tools and says, here's everything that the game can do. Like, figure it out and play that way. And I feel like Monster Hunter really does the same thing. I guess it's layered in a lot of systems. There's 14 different weapons. There's different play styles. But if you like a certain style of gameplay with a certain combination of gear and weapons and how you play, like, there's something there for you, and you can customize the game using those things to really play how you want. And I think once you get to that point is really like kind of when it sucks you in. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. You bring up a good point with the playing to your comfort level, rather. Like, you don't have to be optimal to do well in this game. You don't have to build like the best set of each weapon that you're choosing to be good at this game. I always play, I'll look up guides to see what general people are doing because I think it's interesting to see just how big of a number you can get to show up on the screen in your damage. But, I always do prioritize like comfort builds, like free meal level 3 stays on every single set.
Yeah, dude.
I never take it off.
I feel you.
It's the only thing that's keeping me alive in the hunts. I don't care if it's not optimal. I don't care if I can stick an extra like speed sharpening jewel in that level 1 gem slot. Free meal stays on. But
absolutely,
yeah. I mean, I think I did talk about this to Morgan from the Intergalactic Pinecone.
Oh, cool. Okay.
He and I, he's been streaming Monster Hunter Rise, and I've been popping in the streams to help him grind because I'm an addict to the game, and any chance I get to hump into someone's lobby and help them out, I'm like, yes, this is great.
Man,
but
next time he's playing, I'll jump in with you guys. That makes me sad because I've seen him out. I'm like, I should jump in. I'm like, I need a couple extra hours of sleep, but sleep be damned, man. I'll jump in next time.
No. I've grown to appreciate sleep very much as I grow up. Please get your sleep. Everyone out there, get your sleep.
Yes.
But I did say like that Monster Hunter puts, in my opinion, it's one of the most immaculate flow states that you can get into in a game.
Yeah.
Like I am like my brain is just melting as I'm staring into the screen, and I'm just completely immersed in the combat, in the flow of the gameplay. The combos with the weapons are also satisfying. Each weapon has its little thing, right, that you're always striving for. It's kind of like a cycle. Like, you build up to a big hit, or you try to reposition yourself for your big hit. You do it, endorphins are released, and then you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And the monsters keep you on your toes and make it so that each time you have to approach getting to your weapon's big thing, it's a little different each time, and you got to be situationally aware. And as you fight more and more monsters, you get more and more experienced, which means you cart less, your hunts are more fluid, which gets you even more into a flow state as you're leaning forward in your gamer chair and you're just absolutely destroying the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And it just snowballs, and it is just... And then you look at your watch and it's like, oh, I've been playing for 12 hours. I forgot to eat 2 meals of the day. That's just how I feel.
In the game, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. You have to learn to do it at the same time. Food goes in, combo goes out, repeat. But yeah, no, that is that's the best way I could describe how I feel when I play these games. It's simultaneously indescribable, but that is the best way I can sort of convey what this game makes you feel when you really, put the time in. And, it's easy to get hooked, so putting the time in is not hard when you start out.
Right. It's really that combination, I think you nailed it, of mastery of your weapon and your playstyle and mastery of the fights, because I always tell people, and I always caution people too when I say look up videos, like the videos that get the most views online are like the insane people that speedrun this game and are like,
Yes.
hey, I'm doing a Magnum Aloe hunt and I did it in like a minute 30 seconds. And I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like, I don't know how you do that, but that's nuts. I tell people, don't watch the speedrun videos, just watch like general build theory or just watch like basic tip videos, because if you watch the speedrunning videos, you're gonna be like, oh, if I do this, I'm just gonna be kill monsters like a minute. It's like, no, you're not. Like, those people are out of their mind, first of all.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think it's a mastery of the weapon you pick and the mastery of the monster fights. And as you do more of them, like you feel yourself, it's kind of like a natural building towards that mastery, and it feels really good. And I always tell people, I'm like, the skill ceiling and the skill floor in this game is, pretty high. Like you have to understand basic things to like make it through fights, but the ceiling is also very high. Like this game gives you so much space to be so incredibly good at this game, and it just keeps you chasing that, like, oh, I can get better, I can do this better, I can do that better, I can tweak my build like this, I can do these certain things during the fight. And really too, it's not like it when you're in the middle of a hunt too, like you mentioned carding, it's like you normally get 3 or 4 opportunities that the monster can knock you out, which is called carding.
Mhm.
And I don't ever feel too bad when that happens, because it's more of like a learning experience. Like, oh, I got knocked out, like I know not to do this next time, or like I'm running out of chances, like I need to be a little bit more careful. So it informs your gameplay that way. So that's some good points. I feel like we could sit here and talk about like general Monster Hunter stuff probably for like an hour.
But we definitely could.
Yeah, but I think I just want to start jumping into just general Sunbreak stuff. We won't touch on Rise too much, because at this point, like I did an episode on Rise last year. Rise has been out long enough, and then like if we need to explain anything along the way, we will. So first thing I wanted to touch on, it's probably the least important thing, is the overall story in Sunbreak. I'm just gonna be honest here. Like I feel, as much as I appreciate them like trying to put some story in, story is really just like a vehicle to deliver me to the monster fights. It's like, that's what you're here for. You're here for the monster fights. But just to kind of break down the story a little bit, you encounter a character called Dame Fiorane in the Shrine Ruins investigating a monster. Of course, you get roped into helping the kingdom. You travel to the new outpost of Elgato under the threat of the regular appearance of the Elder Dragon Malzeno, which is the new flagship monster. And the story kind of revolves around the hunting of these 3 lords of the land, the Garangolm, the Lunagaron, and the Malzano. As you're doing this, you discover the parasitic life form, the Quiro, I believe it's how it's pronounced.
I always said Curio.
Curio? Yeah, that might be it.
Something like that.
The parasite bug monsters, they're like infecting all the monsters. They're like sucking the life out of them. So that's part of the mystery you're trying to solve. Turns out they're sucking all the life out of the region's monsters and returning it to it's called Gyasmagorm, which sounds kind of sexual if you think about it. It's the demonic actual final boss of the Sunbreak storyline. So it's actually not the Malzano. Spoilers if you care anything about Monster Hunter story. And then that's kind of the basic stuff. You have new characters. Like I said, you have Dame Fiorane. You have Admiral Gallius, who is so fucking cool.
So cool.
His beard is so glorious. He's just such a badass. Bahari, the scientist who I wanted to kill. Chiche, the quest damsel. Minale, she's the new Forge person. Sir Jay, Dame Lukashenka, Master Arlo, Dr. Todori. That's like your basic story rundown. So real quick, I don't think we got to hit on this too hard, but what did you just kind of think of the overall story?
I mean, the overall story for, in my research of Monster Hunter, the overall story for like World, Iceborne, Rise, and Sunbreak have been the same story. There's a red herring monster causing trouble. You defeat
Pretty
the
much.
red herring monster, and then there's the final actual big monster that's causing the issue. And
Yes.
they've done it 4 times because that's all the story needs to be, really. Monster Hunter, like the world and like the sort of lore of Monster Hunter is like simultaneously so goofy and cartoony, but also so serious, combined with like some of the coolest things you've ever seen in your life. It's such a weird balance, but you can't completely eliminate the story of Monster Hunter because I feel like it does carry you're right, it's the vehicle by which you encounter monsters, and I do appreciate that they are giving, at the very least, focusing a little more on just individual characters a bit more, because the characters in this expansion are pretty likable, and that combined with the new follower quest system that has been added gives you a chance to delve just a little bit deeper into these characters. There are actually like some minor quest lines in that sort of follower quest system that allow you to learn a bit more about the characters and their interactions with each other. Elgato itself has a lot of Easter eggs and characters that can sometimes be found in different places doing different things. I don't think they ever, like, there is never going to be like an in-depth Monster Hunter story. Go play Monster Hunter Stories 2. It's a great game. I put 100 hours into that. If you want a Monster Hunter story, go play that.
Hell yeah.
But in main series, there's never going to be like a human antagonist per se in like a main Monster Hunter game. It's probably always going to be mostly the same, but they'll add some new gimmicks in to pique your interest, get you to fight more monsters, etc. So story, of course, not crazy. The dialogue is always super goofy because I think the translation is always like off, like very very off kilter when it comes to overseas.
Right.
But again, this story is nothing more than it has to be. It's serviceable, gets you to all the fun new monsters, all the end game stuff, and along the way you get to meet some cool characters that you might form attachments with and learn a little bit more about. So that's my overall opinion of the story.
Right. Yeah, your point actually got me thinking of one aspect that I didn't consider before, so that's really cool. But I feel like the characters for this like specific outpost region were a little more fleshed out than Rise, and then probably even more than Iceborne and World were, if I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
That might have been necessary, and I think I appreciate that because it does make the world feel a little more alive. Like you're not the only person in this world. Like there's other people. There's things at stake. I feel like this was done or needed to be done to a lesser degree in World and Iceborne, just because those worlds already felt so alive, and like just by nature of that game being able to be on more powerful hardware. The locales were a little more richer, and the locales is something we'll touch on, but like I feel Monster Hunter Rise at its core is like world distilled down to like it's pretty much World Express. It's like gets you into the fight, gets you to the monster, like it fights as fast as possible. It strips out a lot of the like gathering tracks and like actual like hunting of the monster. Like they're like, this game's on Switch, like we want to get you into the fight as soon as possible. So the locales and the gameplay reflect that. So I think that just by that aspect, them including a little bit more story stuff helps it feel a little more alive. And yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on it a little more too when we talked about new stuff that we add. But the follower quests were really cool. It's kind of a unique twist on something that they've never done before. I'll hunt with my boy Gallius any day, man. He's
yeah, of course. He's got that wide range. He's a team player and also hits hard with his great sword. He's the best.
He's got that just flowing beard. It's
so good.
Gorgeous. I hope I can one day aspire to that. Really.
I feel like it's an unrealistic standard to aspire to. Like that, there's no physical way that common people can grow that just pointed beard that he has.
No way. You need so much beard oil. It wouldn't even be
God,
funny.
he's so cool,
or,
though.
or whatever it is. I'm not a beard connoisseur. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, but no, I think it serves its purpose. Elgato basically serves the same purpose as Kimura did. One thing I'm a little bit surprised about, and I think we'll touch on this again a little bit later too, was they kind of removed the significance of the rampage from the story altogether, and I kind of get why they did. But that was like their big thing that they touted coming into Rise, was like this rampage mode. And while I enjoyed it, I kind of wasn't playing it as much towards the end, before Sunbreak came out. So I guess I can understand why they ignored it, but I'm maybe feel like they maybe should have like tried to revamp it, or maybe inject a little bit of life into it or something, because it's like still in the game and you still need to do stuff with it, but it's just like there was like no emphasis placed on it. So that was my one thing. What did you think about the rampage from Rise, by the way? Just side tangent.
No, it's all good. I say I'll be quick. Do not take me at my word if I say I'll be quick, because I've said that on my podcast many times and it has never worked out.
Got time, sir.
But
no pressure.
Rampage. Tower defense Monster Hunter is an interesting concept. And I mean, this kind of goes into a wider, like, it is so much better to play Monster Hunter with friends. Like, the collaborative nature of this game is another thing that really sucked me in. Like, there's no PvE, there's no ranked, there's no leaderboard, there's no PvP, there's no ranked, no leaderboard, nothing that says, oh, this person did the most damage in the hunt and this person did the least. No, it's all just one big collaborative effort. Everyone's working together, and that makes me feel just so warm and fuzzy on the inside when I see some people join the hunt and we're all wailing on the monster. It's great. Rampage specifically, I hate playing the Rampage alone. Like, I feel like it's borderline unplayable alone. But if you have the boys all over the place setting up cannons and firing off artillery, it's a pretty fun time. That being said, I think it's pretty admirable that they did ditch the Rampage for the DLC. In lore, it makes sense. It was a Kimura problem, and you solved it. You know, it's done. That's true. That didn't stop them from bringing Ibushi and Narwa back for no reason in the higher ranks. But still, you know, the hunter solved the problem with the Rampage, and you know, it's done. And I feel like it was because of the feedback of the player base that they decided not to focus on that too much for Sunbreak, because overall, the player base, again, it's a novel idea, not what I came to play Monster Hunter for. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it has its moments, but that being the end game would be pretty not fun, I don't think. Because they are long and they are tedious, and it is, again, has its moments, but I think, you know, not focusing on that as much and focusing like real hard on what Monster Hunter does best, and just beefing up the individual hunt monsters with freaking Kirio superpowers as the end game. I think they made the right choice there. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Rampage.
Yeah, it's not. You do raise a good point. It's not easy to, a year later after you committed so much resources to something, to just be like it's hard to, like, you don't want to like admit that to yourself. You don't want to be like, all right, like we tried this and like, yeah, it's fun, but like it doesn't really work. But they did that, and they're like, hey, like, we're just gonna set this to the side. Like, it's still there if you want to play it, but like we're gonna go in a different direction. Yeah, that does take a certain amount of, you know, courage to kind of step away from. And I mean, like, they're not suffering because of it. Last I checked, I think there's like 3 or 4 million downloads of Sunbreak. So I mean,
they're doing just fine, I think.
Yeah, they're laughing to the bank right now. So it's not at all any problem. So in addition to so along obviously with the new story, we got a bunch of new monster editions, which is like, that's what everyone's here for, is the monster thing. And it's really become like, amongst the Monster Hunter community, it's really become like almost as big as like the Smash reveals, when they reveal like what new monsters are going to be. And like everyone gets so hyped when they reveal the monsters. Yeah. And that's always a really awesome time to like be a part of the community and just kind of see what it is. So I'm just going to list off like most of the monsters they added in and kind of where they came from. And then we can just go through and talk about some of our favorites and gush a little bit. So, so the first one, which is like the big bad end, was Geismagorm. He's the true final boss. We have Malzeno. I don't know how you say it. He was the headline. He was the flagship monster from Sunbreak. One of the 3 lords, like we said. Garen Golem, he was another one of the 3 lords made specifically for this game. And then Luna Garen, also one of the 3 lords, also made for this game. They brought back Astalos from Monster Hunter Generations. Again, treat for me because I don't have experience with any of these earlier games, so that's great. Blood Orange Bishaten, which was just a variant from the regular Bishaten in base Rise. Seregios, he was the flagship monster for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Aurora Somnicanth, he was a variant of Somnicanth from Rise. Magma Almudron, variant of Almudron from Rise. Gormagala, the flagship monster for Monster Hunter 4, which I guess is different than 4 Ultimate. Sure. Espinas was sure. Monster Hunter Frontiers, Shogun, Cianatar, and Daimyo Hermitar are crab boys, both from Monster Hunter 2. Pyarachnokodaki, fire variant of Rachnokodaki Spider Boy, Scary Time from Rise. They're adding Lucent Nargacuga in the expansion this month. And they also added Shigaru Magala, which was a variant of Gore Magala, Monster Hunter 4. Seething Basil Goose from World. Scorn Magnamalo, obviously variant from Magnamalo from Base Rise. He was the flagship monster. And Furious Angry Monkey Boy Raging, which is also from Monster Hunter 2. Turned Furious in Monster Hunter Freedom. Cool. Yeah, that's everything that they added. Couple notable missing monsters that I saw the community talking about. Everyone wants the Gaiacris to come back. Yeah. I don't have any experience with this one. That seems to be a pretty popular ask. They didn't have Nergigante. He was the flagship monster from World. I really love Nergigante, so I hope they bring him back. Didn't have Valhazak, Devil Joe, Glavenus. That were just a couple that stuck out to me they didn't have. So, Tyler, what do you think about this monster lineup? What'd you like? What didn't you like? And I think it's really cool, too, because a lot of the fans really were excited for some of these that they were bringing back from older ones. Like Gore Magala got a lot of hype. Seregios got a lot of hype. But for us, this is the first time experiencing it. So what do you think about this list that they put together here?
Yeah, well, first let me ask you, Eric, what's your favorite monster?
Favorite monster?
Favorite monster right now. What's your favorite monster?
At first I didn't like him, but I really, really like Nergigante. I think having fought him so much and mastering that fight, he's really fucking cool. Devil Joe is also really cool. Angry Pickle, he's one of my favorites, and I really like the Teostra fight from World 2. I thought that one was really cool. So those are a couple of my favorites personally. I wouldn't say that there's really one that I despise with an undying passion. There are some that I struggle with. I always struggle with Nargacuga for some reason. Regardless, I've fought him thousands of times, it seems like, and I've never get any better. That's just some of mine. What are yours?
So my favorite monster is Tobi Kadachi.
Dude, Toby's so fucking cool.
I don't know what it is about him. I just really like him. His color scheme is great. His fight is fast paced. I like him, but the main reason I like him is because his gear basically carried me through World, because everything was weak to thunder in World.
Absolutely.
Lightning, especially Nergigante. So I was an Insect Glaive main in World. I'm sure we'll talk about our mains soon.
Absolutely.
But, the Kadachi Pillar 3 was my freaking thing. With fighting Nergigante with the Insect Glaive. Nergigante is also one of my favorites as well. And in Monster Hunter
I have to give a special shout out to my boy Oda Garen, because it was Oda Garen's gear that carried me through World as a longsword main, because it had a lot of good skills with longsword in there. So
of course.
Yeah.
I never dipped into longswords, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of things to discuss in the gameplay section. But Toby, I don't know why. Toby's just awesome. He's one of the best Wyvern rides in Rise. He does so much damage to other monsters when you're riding him. He's so fast, so strong. Obviously, a lower tier monster, but I don't know why. I just kind of stuck to him. He was one of the, he was an early monster in World, so he left an impression on me. But I also like Nergigante. Valhazak is also one of my favorites as well. I really like his ecology and his connection to the arena you fight him in, which is, I want him to come back, but I feel like he doesn't really belong outside of the Rotten Vale. I know that he has a variant in Iceborne that is in the forest, but like he would have to bring the effluvium with him. But I mean, Gore Magala brought the whole frenzy with him over to
Yeah, exactly.
Elgato, so I guess it's not out of the picture. But yeah, I hate Tyostra, so I'm glad we have different opinions on that. The big three Elder Dragon trio, Tyostra, Chameleos, and Kushala, I just despise. I struggle with all three of their fights. I do not like them. Again, designs are cool. Fights, I hate them. But yeah, with the getting off the tangent train, back to this, I believe Seething Basilgeuse is coming out at the same time as Lucent, right? He's not in the game currently, right?
Oh, maybe I just mistook that because I know that there's a master rank Basilgeuse fight. I know, so maybe Seething's coming out with him. That might be possible.
I was about to say, I think they're releasing, because I think the next month they're also releasing 2 variants or rare species. By the way, new people to Monster Hunter, don't get confused with like if we say variant or rare species or subspecies. It's too confusing to keep track of. Don't worry about that. Just different versions of different monsters.
It's like a Galarian Pokemon kind of.
It is kind of like a regional form. Yeah, they all have their little gimmicks. Yeah. I think Seething is coming out with Lucent. But as far as the notable, missing monsters, Legiacris, again, no experience, just like yourself. Basically, the consensus I'm hearing is that underwater fighting sucked when they introduced it, but Legiacris was really cool. So everyone wants him back. I'd be down. I fought him a lot in Monster Hunter Stories 2. He was a monster in that game, so I got to experience sort of his vibe. Okay. It's obviously not the same as hunting since it's turn-based combat, but I got to encounter him a little bit and see some of his attacks and his ecology a little bit. So that was cool. I'd be down for him. He's got electric, he's got water. Super cool monster. We already talked about Nergigante and Valhazak. Nergigante can just he's kind of like an invader, like an Elder Dragon invader almost. So he could be. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he's added in one of these future title updates. I think that would be really cool to add. I
think it'd be a nice nod,
especially because he's just so fast in regular world, and now with wire bugs, they're going to turn him up to 11. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
And then Glavenus. So, about the Fated Four, right? Glavenus,
Perhaps.
Astalos, Mizutsune, and Gameth. They were the 4 flagships for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate.
Yes.
Or just
one of those, yeah.
One of the 2. We have, this is Astalos' first, 5th gen appearance since, I believe, Generations Ultimate. So, fully realized in the new system, that sort of world brought in. Glavenus was in Iceborne, of course, and we also have a Mizutsune in Rise. So 3 of the 4 of these Fated 4 are back. The only one we're missing is Gameth, which is, if you don't know, it's this big ice mammoth monster with like this stone chitinous like headpiece.
I think I have seen him before, yeah.
Yeah, again, I first learned about him in Monster Hunter Stories 2. But he's very different. Like all the other 3 are like really fast, but he is just full power, full bulk. Fanged Wyvern, I believe, is his sort of like genus in the Monster Hunter mythos. But
okay,
it would be kind of cool to have him, since that would be the last of the Fated 4 to finally be brought into this new modern Monster Hunter. So, but besides that, I only have world monsters to go off of, so there's no monster that I particularly really want or like desperately want in this game. But I'm just down for anything at this point, especially if it's new stuff, new monsters that I haven't seen before. It's always cool to see the community get hyped for, those reveals, and that leads me down to like research them and watch videos on them and see what they're all about, because I'm an addict of Monster Hunter information. So,
right.
But as far as like what I think of the existing monsters, I feel like they hyped up the 3 lords a little too. Like I feel like they were the 3 lords, of course, but there wasn't like a lot of story emphasis on the 3 as a trio. If you know what I mean.
Right. They just kind of separately. They're like, oh yeah, those 3 are out there, and then they space them out so much in the story, it kind of feels like a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, like, I don't really know what connects them other than the fact that they all live in the Citadel.
Right.
But like they don't really interact with each other. They don't have turf wars with each other. I don't think. But that's something I just kind of wish was focused on a bit more. But it's kind of weird how they added 3 variants that were fire. Like we have Pyrarachnikadaki, Magma Almudron, and Blood Orange Bishaten.
Yeah, that's very strange.
And then we have Aurora Somnicanth was the ice one, but the Fire Res Dango is getting a lot of mileage from my hunts because there's so many freaking fire monsters. But Malzeno is just so weird. Like,
it's very strange.
He literally, like, Monster Hunter always tries to keep some semblance of realism, right, in their monster designs. I think that's what appeals. But now, like, this thing can teleport, like, full on, just dematerialize into the shadows and teleport. I'm like, okay. For most, like, fire breathing dragons, like, okay, they have an organ in their chest or like an organ somewhere that generates heat. But, like, how do you explain the teleporting? It's like, I'm not even playing Monster Hunter anymore. What am I fighting here? But I think that was the point, like, to kind of be like, this thing is almost alien, like, literally myth. It doesn't feel like it should be, like, an actual functioning living creature, but here it is. You know what I mean? So
right. Even all of the crazy shit that they added at the end of World still felt relatively grounded, like Elatrion and Fatalis. Like, even though those were crazy hard end fights, like, they're so grounded in some reality. Even most things in Rise, like, I felt like even like Narwa and Ibushi, even kind of how ridiculous Valstrax is with its fucking jet fighter engine wings, like, that still kind of felt, and I agree with your point 100%. Yeah, like, grounded in mostly reality. But yeah, then you have this thing that shows up. Even one of my favorite monsters they added, Gormagala, which his design is just absolutely sick. With like
so good.
Like, he still feels like he could be part of that world. But then, yeah, you get to Malzeno in that fight. Yeah, he's like teleporting, like dematerializing, warping around, and you're just kind of like, whoa, like, you never really see that. Like they kind of did that gimmick with Chameleos and like the camouflage a little bit. And like you lose sight of him, but like, he's a chameleon. Like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Like, it does feel like that fight specifically stands out because it is so different. Like, the pace feels different. He's using his tail in crazy ways to like slash at you. He enrages and he has all this energy, Curio bubbles around him that you have to break. The teleporting, of course. Right. He like flaps. It's almost like telekinetic. Like, he just flaps his wings and like these earth tremors come like streaking towards you in these dark energy beams. It's all those like separate. We have Elder Dragons with elemental beams all the time, but having all these things together, it's like, dude, what am I fighting? Like, this is crazy. So, I like the fight a lot. It's just, it always catches me by surprise, right? It's like, man, I'm really on the back foot just because this is so different from just the vibe of the fight is so much different from so many of the rest of the fights. But,
right. What did you think about, like, obviously said most of the times, and it's pretty predictable at this point, like the headlining monster, the flagship monster is just a red herring for like the actual monster. So, and like I said, if you're worried about spoilers for this game, like, you can turn it off, but like, there's not really anything to spoil here. Honestly, you're not missing a like narratively defining experience by any means. But we discover, like, at the end of the story, it was actually Geismagorm, which was like the source of all the Curio and kind of everything that was happening. Just to kind of touch on final boss fights, from my understanding throughout the series, and even kind of like the stuff with Zora Magdaros in World and Xeno'jiiva in World, end boss fights in Monster Hunter have kind of been like letdowns. But I feel like starting with Iceborne and like in Rise and now in Sunbreak, I feel like each of these successive like final boss fights has gotten progressively better. And Geismagorm in particular, the way it had like different phases, and they kind of implemented the stuff they took with the Ibushi and Narwa fights, where like they raise platforms up and you get guns and like you have to shoot them and all this kind of stuff, where Geismagorm like climbs up the cliff and you have to shoot the Curio clusters on his back. Like, the boss fights are becoming less like traditional fights and more like spectacles. And I think that is a good direction to go, because like I said, when I finished World and you finish those god awful, like my one critique of World is like those Zora Magdaros missions where you have to like stop him from breaking through the barrier are just so boring. It's like, it's terrible. So for them to like your big monster to be like this kind of a spectacle fight. Like I thought it was really good. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, with World being my first, I don't think I minded the Zora Magdaros fights as much.
Okay.
Just because of the novel concept, like I'm on the back of like a mountain-sized creature,
Yeah.
tearing it up from the back, dodging magma bolts coming down from his mouth, and then jumping on the ballista and cannons, and shooting off Dragonators. I didn't mind it as much, and especially if I had people with me just to screw around and on Zora Magdaros' back, I always thought it was fine. But I can definitely see as I play the game where I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring. And with Xeno'jiiva, compared to what we have now, it is honestly an unremarkable fight. Like at the time, I was like, dude, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like energy dragon shooting off laser beams. And the story of Xeno'jiiva also got me because it's an infant, right? And you see some of its attacks when it's enraged. It accidentally traps itself with its power. When he does like a laser beam circle, he accidentally heats the ground so much that he traps himself in it. So I really liked that aspect of the fight. World's whole theme of just having the monsters be connected to the world and react in realistic ways really shone through in that final boss fight. I did not play Iceborne. That was when I went off to college and I didn't have my Xbox with me, so I never played Iceborne. But I researched it. I know everything that happens. You're not spoiling me for anything. But Shara Ishvalda, of course, I did just realize that World's base story had 2 red herrings in Nergigante and Zara Magdaros, and then Xeno'jiiva is revealed.
Right.
But in Iceborne... And
then they did it again with Velkhana.
Yeah, with Velkhana and then Shara Ishvalda. From what I've seen of Shara Ishvalda's fight, like, it's such a cool, like, you see this rock golem after you fight Rune or Nergigante, and you're like, what in the world is this thing? Like, there's no defining features on it. It's just a big rock with legs. And then you're breaking parts left and right, and then eventually what breaks out is this freaking freaky as hell monster with these skeletal wing arms. And as you said, like the spectacle is only just growing, and then you get to freaking Narwa and Ibushi, where it's sort of like a entwined final boss where Narwa, eats Ibushi, which is like a real life or an in-game representation of the real life way that the animals that they're based on actually behave.
Right.
And then you get super powered all Mother Narwa, a little while after release, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But then that was crazy. And then she's picking up Dragonators from the bottom of this ancient temple. And then you get to freaking Geismagorn, dude, crawling out of the abyss with that crazy cutscene where Admiral Gallius just completely blows every other Monster Hunter character out of the water with his triple Dragonator projectile ship.
I loved the Admiral from World, but dude, Gallius fucking riding in like the motherfucking Chad he is on his boat with the triple Dragonators is, man. When I saw that, I was like, let's go. It was so awesome.
Yeah, because they were in his follower quest with Arlo. Arlo was like, kind of mentioning his time as a sailor and how he sort of hasn't done it in a while, and then he comes in with his ship and blows the hell out of Geismagorn.
Dude, this is so awesome.
And then we go into the fight because, he's still alive, and you get to use the Dragonators again to just pepper him from above. And him having all these, I guess this is why it's called Sunbreak, right? Because he makes these little like fireballs that look like mini suns.
I would have to assume so.
And a lot of his ultimate attacks, or one of his, like the meteor swarm attack, he sort of like shoots up a big fireball sun in the sky that rains him down. It's so weird because you would not associate that design with blast element, but
you would not.
That's what you get. And it's sort of surprising when it happens, and just the power up moments and him like sucking in his own like Curio powered crystals that blow up in his mouth if you knock off enough of them. And then going down to the second area of the fight where he powers up and he has his like red feathers, like energy feathers that almost come out from his reptilian sort of gills on his arms.
Right.
Cutting the tail on Geismagorn is one of the most satisfying tail cuts you'll ever get.
It's so good.
I only do great sword against Geismagorn. But then, I mean, how much crazier can you get with him climbing like freaking King Kong on the side of the Empire State Building up the side of this broken tower, and you were just all on ballistas peppering his bag with bullets as you're dodging Curio, and unless you are coordinated in that attack, you are not knocking him down from that wall. Like, everyone needs to be shooting the same, like, curio module, or else he is making it up there and raining down this, like, blood laser beam upon you. Oh my god. It is so good. And the remix of Proof of a Hero that plays when...
Every time. It gets me every time.
Gets you
it's
every
so
time.
good.
You get to see Fioraine, do her crazy sword and shield bash. As a sword and shield main, I felt very vindicated in that cutscene.
Absolutely.
But... oh my god. You can hear the excitement in my voice. It is so good. I love that fight. I love helping people with that fight. It feels so good. If this is the way they're taking Monster Hunter Final bosses, like, I am on the train. Like, I am totally behind just making it the craziest thing you've ever seen. And I'm glad they're just going bigger and just more off the rails with it than ever before.
I'm glad they are too, because I felt like a lot of little touches that they had in the Elatrion fight, especially, were kind of brought forward into the Geismagorm fight. Like, one of the things is, like, when Geismagorm sucks in all the, like, the red stuff and, like, kind of hurts himself stuff, he brings up those, like, rocks. Pillars that you hide behind. And that was a big thing in, like, the Elatrion fight. So I think Capcom is seeing is, like, they threw these super hard fights in at the end of Iceborne, and we're like, okay, people can handle, like, a little more intense things. Like, we can kind of kick this up a notch. And I think it really shows in the Ibushi, Narwa, All Mother fights. And then in this one especially, this fight was just absolutely incredible. Like, I finally felt like it's Monster Hunter. It's a game about fighting giant epic monsters. And, like, I finally felt like the conclusion of one of these storylines was, like, this fight absolutely nailed it. Everything you just said, I don't think I need to, like, reiterate, but it was just so good. So I'm really glad they did that. And I'm excited to see now that we're I'm assuming this will follow the pattern of World. I'm assuming this is the only major expansion we'll get. So I'm curious to see if they do any kind of, like, these, Elatrion Fatalis. They did the crossover with Final Fantasy when they had the Behemoth. Like, these felt more like raids than they did like hunts. Like, these are more like styled like a WoW raid or a Destiny raid kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll be curious to see if they throw in some stuff like that, if it's at all possible. I like I said, Rise is like watered down world to, like, its base elements, which is not bad because it's still a great game. But I'll be curious to see if they do that. So I think monsters are great. Like I said, Gormagal is my favorite. So freaking cool he is.
He's just coolest.
And then I know people hate him because of how annoying he was, but Basil Geist has always had a special place in my heart. I love Basil Geist. I think he's hilarious. I think it's awesome the way he fucks with you in World so much. I think it's hilarious.
It's definitely been a meme. That actually brings up one quick thing before we go on. A kind of a sort of offshoot of the favorite monster question. Which monster do you feel has the most satisfying head to hit, and which monster do you think has the most satisfying tail to cut off?
Ooh, man, that's good.
If you need time to think, I've been thinking about this all week.
Interesting. I didn't think about that at all, really. The reason is this across everything, or is this just in Rise specifically?
This is across everything. The reason that I brought it up specifically after you talked about Basil Geese is because one of my answers for the head portion is Basil Geese. His head has such a huge hitbox. Like, it does. Entire, like,
it does so much damage
head,
too,
and it feels so good to just wail on him when you finally knock him down out of the sky. Whether it's with cutting it up with a dual blades or just slamming it with a hammer. I don't know why. It activates some neurons. I
like that one. I think I don't know how satisfying it is, but for me, the head break on Diablos is very satisfying when you break the horns.
With the
That's
horns,
so fucking good.
It feels real good.
For the tail, probably the most satisfying tail chop for me is it'd probably have to be Devil Joe, just because so much of his body is a tail. Like, when you chop it, it's like it's such a significant chop. Anjanath's probably a close second because he's got a pretty meaty tail on him too. So I don't think you can technically chop the Glavenus tail. I think you just break it.
No,
because that would remove his whole gimmick.
Yes. You chip the tail, and one of it, because this is what I love about Glavenus's tail cut, is that it flies in the air and then sticks in the ground like a sword.
Absolutely.
So that's a really good answer.
Yeah,
actually.
What were some of yours?
So my favorite tail cut, just because the fight is so annoying, is Barioth's tail.
Oh yeah.
I feel real good cutting that thing
Oh
off.
yeah.
It's much bigger at the end, so like just cutting it off and having that huge chunk fly off is great, but also his tail attacks are so annoying. So giving us that little extra wiggle room of, reduced range of that. It's always like, God, I hate you so much. I'm so glad I got rid of that tail.
Exactly.
Probably Nargacuga falls under that same boat.
That's a good one too.
Unfortunately, cutting the tail doesn't like stop a lot of his blade throwing attacks or anything, but
right.
Just cutting Nargacuga's tail, just because he uses it so much, you feel like you have crippled the monster in a satisfying way. Also, Diablos' tail is pretty good as well, just because of how big it is. So
yeah,
at least we're not in the. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that Devil Joe doesn't eat his tail anymore when you cut it off.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's probably a good thing, definitely for sure. We'll see. I can't think of any other ones, but those are.
That's all right. I just thought it'd be an interesting question to sort of throw into this episode somewhere.
I think we got to throw Geismagorm in there too, because like you said, his tail cut's very
just so huge. It's
so good.
Oh my god, you can just stand completely enveloped in the tail with your character model. It's like, and when you're carving, you carve it twice, so logistically speaking, a pretty good tail cut.
Absolutely. All right, so I think that's enough on the monsters. We're going to dive into just some of the new gameplay mechanics that they introduced in Sunbreak. I put some stuff down below. Obviously, we already touched on like the new hub town Elgato. We touched on the new maps, the jungle and the citadel. They're adding another map called the Forlorn Arena in a title update. We kind of touched on the follower collab quests. Those are really cool. They have new endemic life that you can use, like the marionette spider, all that fun stuff. But really the meat of the new stuff they added was the new switch skills and the switch skill swap. So basically the way this works is you can have different switch skills to kind of switch up like what your weapon combos do. And same thing with your Silkbind moves too. Silkbind moves are used with your wire bugs. They're just kind of special moves you can do by consuming your wire bugs, which recharge over time. These were like the main things they added. They added more of these, and they added what they call the switch skill swaps. So basically what these are, they're like loadouts that you can swap mid-hunt between different moves. So you can assign different switch skills, wire bug moves to your red and blue scrolls, and you can switch between them during the fight. This was really like the biggest thing, at least in my opinion, that they added in the fight, which is really cool. So for like example, I'm a longsword main. I played some longsword in World. I stuck mostly to bow because I was a big scaredy cat and I didn't want to get close to the monsters. But for Rise, I was like, I'm going to be a big boy and fight up front. And longsword gets a lot of love for no reason other than it's longsword. But so like, for example, the way I have my my switch scrolls set up is on my red scroll, I have the step slash, the spirit round slash combo, the special sheath combo, and the Sakura slash. And then on my blue scroll, I have the drawn double slash, the spirit reckoning combo, the sacred sheath combo, which is a new stupidly ridiculous move for longsword, and the soaring kick, a wire bug move. So just to kind of give you an example of like how and at first I was kind of like, I don't know about this, because I found a way of playing that I really liked. But I was really happy and surprised at how easily I was able to like implement this into my play style. So just to kind of give everybody listening an example, like I use my red scroll, and one of the mechanics for longsword is you have to build up your spirit gauge by attacking and pulling off combos. Is the basic simplified version of it. So my red scroll is basically all those kind of help me to build up my my spirit gauge, and then my blue scroll is where I can use a lot of that gauge to deal a lot of damage. It has the soaring kick, it has the sacred sheath combo, which can consume all of your spirit gauge. So I kind of switch back and forth for those. Use red scroll to build the gauge up, blue scroll to execute those really strong attacks. So that's kind of how that system works. And I'm not too knowledgeable on other weapons because I've mainly played longsword with some other stuff sprinkled in. But all of the weapons got new Silkbind moves, got new switch skills to basically kind of augment the way you play and give you even more options. Like we said at the top of the show, Monster Hunter is about giving you options to play the way you want. So that was really like they reworked a lot of the weapons and a lot of the way things worked and fixed a lot of things from base Rise. So now that I've rambled about that a lot, Tyler, what do you think about switch skill scrolls, the new Silkbind moves, just some of that stuff? And obviously I already said I was a longsword main, so what was your experience playing with this stuff?
Right. So switch skill swapping was something that when I saw it in the trailer, I was like, okay, this is going to be pretty huge.
Right.
And I wasn't really sure what to expect gameplay wise, because you kind of have to take a pause in combat where you wouldn't otherwise to switch quick. And then you can also do like this evade dodge out of switch skill swap, which is affected by, evade extenders. So you can do some funky stuff with that. But I was like, okay, I'm not really sure how the flow of combat's going to be, but it seems entirely like it is entirely optional to use switch skill swap. You can stick with the same move, like the same moveset loadout, and you'll be just fine. Like it is a completely optional feature. But
you will not handicap yourself if that's what you're worried about.
Yes,
not at all.
Yes, absolutely. You do not need to worry about becoming less effective if you don't use these new options. But and again, you are given new switch skills anyway, so you can if there's new switch skills you like, you can just add that to your normal moveset and etc. But like for me, kind of with your example with the longsword, my main is sword and shield. I've made it a quest of mine to branch out into most of the weapons. So I've done, sword and shield, dual blades, great sword, hammer, bow, insect glaive, hunting horn. I've tried to diversify my skill set into many different weapons just because it keeps me from getting, bored or complacent with the game.
Right.
And it helps. It just makes me love the game even more, going deep in a bunch of different weapons at once. I'm already starting my new gun lance set because there's some cool new switch skills I want to try out with that. But for the switch skill swap, at least for sword and shield example, I have the Metsu Shokugeki, which is the uppercut move, wirebug skill, with a shield that does a crap ton of stun damage on my default. But then I have the destroyer oil on the blue scroll, the not default one. So some weapons got like just straight moves that buff a certain part of your weapon. So like sword and shield got an oil that makes it easier to flinch monsters while it's active. Hammer got a new move that I think does the exact same thing actually, and also does a little bit of damage.
Yeah. Longsword got one where it puts down like a circle around you, like
Harvest
the wire
Moon.
bug, and then while you're Harvest Moon, and while you're in that, I think it's like you either don't use gauge or use less gauge when doing combos. I'm not sure which it is, but
I think it's you don't use any gauge at all, and I think your multi-hit like aftershock attacks do extra hits of attack. Yeah, because my friend just started his longsword as well, so I've kind of gotten a bit of a first-hand account of what sort of switch skills they use a little bit, but. So, like, my default sword and shield set is basically all about stunning the monster. Like, every single switch skill is based around just hitting the shit out of the monster's face with a shield and using the sword as little as possible. But my other switch skill set is focused around cutting. So if I need to switch to cut the tail, I'll switch to that switch skill loadout and go ham on the tail for a little bit and then switch back when I want to go back to the head. So that definitely augments my playstyle a little bit because now I can help people at the head and the tail and kind of prioritize which part of the monster I'm attacking. There are some armor sets that make use of switch skill swapping. For instance, the Furious Rajang armor has a new skill called Furious, where with the red scroll equipped, you build up attacks, or you build up like this rage. It's kind of manifests as smoke around your character, kind of like what Furious Rajang looks like when he's getting mad and his arms are getting buffed up. But as you attack more, that smoke around you builds up more and more until it's like this yellow golden Super Saiyan aura.
Right.
And then you switch skill swap to your blue scroll, and while that is active, you have infinite stamina. So like your stamina does not deplete no matter what you do when you're on that when you switch that blue scroll for a short period of time, and then it'll revert. So Dual Blades has been amazing lately. With Infinite Demon mode, I am having the time of my life. But yeah, switch skill swapping just opens up a whole new just way to think, and you can like combo different switch skills in. Like sometimes I just, for Sword and Shield again, I switch to the blue scroll, activate my Destroyer Oil, and then switch back. So now I have the stunning moveset that I like with the added benefit of flinching easier. So you can just, switch back and forth for different buffs, or you can switch back and forth for different situations. Or again, if you have one thing that you really, really like and that you want to stick with, you don't need to use it at all. So it's honestly one of the most perfect additions I can think of them adding for this. And the addition of 3 new switch skills for every single weapon type incentivizes people to play around with it, because now you have so many new moves. You don't just need to pick between 1 or 2 for each switch skill slot that you have. Now you have so many more options that you can just have at your disposal on the hunt, depending on the situation. So from what I've seen, most of the switch skills are super, like they went all out with them. Aside for some, Lance, I think, got the short end of the stick with some of their new switch skills. Charge Blade, I also think, didn't get anything crazy, but Charge Blade has always been super technical anyway, with counters and guard points and charging. So
they already have a lot to play with. So
yeah, they have super amped element discharge.
That's all you need.
That is all you need. I have been interested to try to bite the bullet and try Charge Blade, because I'm so scared of it.
I learned, I probably did like 150, I have to look at my stats, but like 150 hunts with Charge Blade in world. So I did pick it up for a while, and yeah, pretty much I wasn't playing it as technical as you should, because obviously there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with those files and combining the sword and the shield.
Yeah.
But yeah, my combo was always get full files, amp, and then super amped elemental discharge. That was just the 1, 2, 3 step combo. Don't worry about anything else. Get the big boom. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean that's the general consensus I have heard. I guess technically Charge Blade is the first weapon I ever used. I used the Charge Blade in my hunt against the 7 small Jagras in
there you go.
In world. I had no idea how it worked, so when my blade turned red and blunt, I kept bouncing off the small Jagras. Like every time, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then I switched to Switch X.
I agree with a lot of the points you did. And like we said at the top of the show, like there was already a lot of customization in the way that you set up specific gear builds for certain fights, and they give you equipment loadouts so that you can register those and easily get back to them. And they do that with your item loadouts too. So there's already like this meta game of like matching armor and decoration build outs to like give you the biggest advantage against the monster. But now they threw this new thing in where it's like you can have 2 separate kind of builds of moves to switch between any given time, and now that can synergize with your gear builds. So it really just added like this third element onto this thing that was already pretty deep and pretty complex, because if I learned anything from watching hours of people's Monster Hunter World armor build videos, it's that people came up with some absolutely crazy shit to play that game. So yeah, I didn't even know that about the dual blades with the Furious Raging armor. So that's brilliant. And it's just, again, emphasizing that if you're going to get into this game, like if you take a little bit of extra time to learn the systems, like the game gives you the tools to play the way you want to. And now it's even giving you more tools to do that for sure. Like as a longsword person, as soon as I saw, I think I retweeted it on Twitter, the first video of the person doing like the sacred sheath special slash now, where you sheath it, it absorbs all your
gauge.
Yep. Yes, and then it doesn't like when you release it, it does a lot of damage, but obviously it sucks if the monster flies away. But they made the big brain move of you're allowed to like shimmy back and forth and like shuffle and move.
Yeah, do a
so
little
you just
dodge.
have these stupid, you just have these stupid fucking Twitter videos of like people setting up the slash and then like shuffling like 5 minutes across the map because they don't want to lose it. And you're just like, this is great. This is peak. I even retweeted it. I was like, this is peak longsword play. This is like what it is. So, but yeah, I agree with everything you say. And yeah, it just like creates goofy shit like that where you're just like, and that does suck too, where it's like, I don't want to lose my sheath here because this is like 1,500 points of damage right here. So, but yeah, I think it's great.
I saw that
Yeah, I
video
think it's-
that you retweeted, and that was the first time I learned that you could do that with the new Sacred Sheath combo.
When I saw it, I was like, everyone that I play with from now on is going to hate me. No, if you're out there and you play longsword and you do this, like, don't do this. It's not good etiquette. Try to set up those sheath combos when you're like at an advantageous position. So like when I'm switching between the red and blue scrolls for me, like I said, the red scroll is what I use to build up the spirit gauge. And then when the monster gets knocked down or it's stunned or it's asleep, then I dip into the blue scroll, which is where like my soaring kick is, or the sheath is and stuff like that to do big damage. Because as a longsword user, I feel like that is my primary role, is to deal damage and cut the tail, because longsword isn't really good for anything else. It's not good for smashing heads. It's not good for breaking parts that are hard. It's cutting tails and dealing damage. Like that's what it's for. So, but yeah, I think you nailed it. It's a great addition. I can't believe they didn't think of it sooner. I already liked how they did the switch skills and the wire bug moves, but adding this was just like, I was skeptical at first, but I love it. It's great.
It really makes me wonder what they're going to do for the next game, right? Like this game has introduced so many options, so much mobility, you know, because I can't see the wire bugs returning in a next gen Monster Hunter game. I feel like this is going to be Rise specific, but there's got to be some sort of substitute. Like the amount of mobility that we're given here, it is going to feel not great if that is taken away from us in the next game, now that we have Rise to compare it to.
Yeah, the wire bugs were really like a sped up on crack version of, in Iceborne they introduced the quick claw. Yeah, the clutch claw. Yeah, the quick claw Pokemon, man.
Yeah, right.
Pokemon on the brain.
Got on the brine.
Yeah, and that was kind of like, well, this is kind of crazy. And then the wire bugs was up to 11. But yeah, I feel like the wire bugs are very specific to, like I said, this distilled world experience on the Switch. If they ever did like a big console Monster Hunter World game again, something like that, like Monster Hunter World 2 or whatever they do next. But now I'm so used to them. It's like, can you take them away from me? Like I feel like, and I'd have to talk to like older school players about how they feel about this, but they're like, so like, I remember, you know, you read about the older games where like you never used to be able to track the monsters. You used to have to hit them with paintballs, and then that's how you would find them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds terrible. But I still see some people on Twitter be like, man, I wish they bring the paintballs back. And I'm like, no, like just go back in your corner of the internet. Like we don't need that. So yeah, like how do you, like the mobility, like I love World is great. I haven't gone back and played World since I started playing Rise. So is that going to be a huge shock when I go back and be like, this game is slow as fuck? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that'll be interesting.
That's one of the main reasons I played Insect Glaive in World, because that weapon had so much mobility compared to the other weapons.
Yeah.
And you could like stay out of range of monster attacks and fly all over the place. But now Insect Glaive has been super violated because every weapon can do that now.
Right, exactly.
Like I tried to make an Insect Glaive build. I'm like, I can just do so much better with another weapon since I can fly through the air with any weapon of my choice now.
Right.
And it feels good. Like the Insect Glaive still has some cool stuff. Like they have some new Kinsect attacks. It's really cool. But, you know, sorry, Insect Glaive mains, don't worry, I feel for you. But yeah, I feel like if like Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter is kind of like, I get like a cave punk aesthetic almost. I heard that from a YouTube video. It's like cave punk is kind of the word that would be used to describe that.
That makes sense.
But if they moved more into like the steampunk age, we could probably have some cool grappling stuff. I mean, Charge Blade and Switch Axe are already like very steampunky and like construct.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, we do have
and
the
we have
clutch
guns
claw.
and cannons and stuff already, so it's like,
yeah. So I'm thinking like maybe some sort of grapple, because you know that one bowgun move with the wire bug where you kind of like do this drift around to reposition.
Yes.
I feel like that could be something that's just a hunter tool where you like attach to the monster and you sort of like in a circle around where you attach, sort of reposition maybe a little bit. Something like that. Some sort of wacky grappling hook attachment to stand in for the wire bug. I feel like switch skills could still come back. Like I feel like that was a very good addition. So I feel like that's not.
Weren't there like in my readings of games past, weren't there kind of like some weapon art? Didn't they try and do some stuff with like some weapon arts or stuff like that in earlier games?
Yeah. And I think it was Generations they did weapon arts. Like that was when Sword and Shield had all the different oils that did different things.
That's right. Yeah.
Some weapons had like aerial styles or different things. I never knew exactly how that worked. I've never gone back to play Generations. But I don't know if I will. Was something I don't think I could. Like I think I would just suck so bad because you can't move. Like you can't move to heal. You have to stand perfectly still when you heal in those games. Like it is insane.
Props to the hunters that came before us that had to deal with that.
Props to the 1 through 4th Fleet hunters. You guys are great. But yeah, sorry, we just went on a tangent about speculation on the next Monster Hunter. I apologize.
No, that's fine. It's all good. I think we touched base on it pretty well. After that, I just kind of had some general thoughts. One of my general thoughts was we pretty much touched on all of these. There's kind of a lot of slogging through old monsters to get to new ones, but I mean, like that didn't bother me that much. Gave me time to adjust to the new stuff, get some new MR rank gear to kind of help. Elgato, nice. It serves the same purpose as Kimura. It's a hub world. I kind of thought the same thing of the hub when Iceborne came out. I was like, oh, it's a new hub world. Like that's cool. Nice change of scenery. We touched on the rampages, which was a note I put down. Touched on the locales. I said new locales are nice, not as emphasized as they are in world. All the new monsters were great. All of the new monsters that were designed for Sunbreak, as well as legacy monsters, were awesome. Everything felt like a new monster to me, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
We touched on switch skill scrolls. I cannot say that 3 times fast. I'm going to trip over my words. All the new gear is awesome.
Oh my god!
Like
Fashion Hunter is in full swing. Full swing.
They handle the gear so well. It's so good. I can't even get over how good the gear is. It's great. And still, I like default to just like a naked, shirtless man, and I wear the boar head, and that's how I go into battle. So it's like that's the most, that's the Elden Ring thing. The most intimidating man is a naked man with a giant club. So I'm bringing that mentality into Monster Hunter.
Of course. No, it definitely makes sense.
Capcom is stepping up the end bosses. I felt like Iceborne probably a better overall expansion, but I think Sunbreak is a really awesome expansion to a really awesome game. One of the best games on the Switch, hands down, I think right now. You can't deny that. And then we'll have to see what we get. We have some post-game expansions coming up in August. Like we're going to get the Lucent Nargacuga. You said we're getting the Seething Basil Goose. And then they said they're going to support this game into 2023. So we've got, another year of content easily before we run out of steam on this one. So is there anything we've kind of covered all my base points? Is there anything else you want to throw in there, touch base on before we kind of close it out?
Well, I think on the new content coming, we did get some more silhouettes of monsters that were coming, and I think in my watching videos on Rise constantly, it seems like Rage Gaming Videos is usually where I go to for Monster Hunter content. They're pretty
okay.
Their channel on YouTube, they're pretty crazy into Monster Hunter, but they've been playing since one of them has been playing since Monster Hunter 1, so they're very knowledgeable about all this stuff.
Jeez.
But I think the one silhouette was of an Espinas, so I think we're getting an Espinas subspecies.
Interesting. Okay.
After the Lucent Nargacuga and Seething Basil Geese update. I did not know Lucent Nargacuga turned invisible, so that's gonna be crazy.
I've been avoiding the spoiler trailer, so I didn't see that. So that's great. I already struggle with Nargacuga, so let's just turn him invisible. Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry about that. Didn't realize that.
No, I don't care. I haven't gone out of my way since I've been playing to watch it. So I've been so absorbed in the game. So
yeah,
so it's great. Yeah, invisible Nargacuga, wonderful.
And then I think Seething Basil Geese is kind of like a Pyra Ragnar situation. It's just regular Basil Geese, but turned up to 11.
He was in Iceborne, and his bombs just blew up bigger.
Yeah, they had like
So
this like really cool like blue bloom effect before they exploded. I think I saw it in some footage. It was really cool.
So it's just him more of a dick, but just like you said, 11 essentially.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that should be good.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to beat like Elatrion and Fatalis. Like those are the big two. Like those were huge. Yeah. They can't really pull a Safi'jiiva, I don't think, because we already have an upgraded version of the final boss in Allmother Narwa. I guess they could do some crazy Geismagorm thing.
They could.
But I'd rather them do something... I'd honestly rather them do something original, or, I don't know, maybe bring back one of the cool final bosses like Atal Ka, which was that was the final boss of Generations Ultimate. Right. That was the the golden bug monster that made a freaking mech of scraps and controlled them with its threads. It was super cool.
I'll have to look at that one. I didn't watch that. That's interesting.
It is super,
that would be interesting.
It is you started off fighting at its normal form. It's like a bug, but it's using its threads to you fight it in this destroyed war base. There are Dragonators and different metal parts strewn throughout this desert.
Oh, that's cool.
This monster's picking them up using her golden threads and slinging them at your hunter. And then eventually when you hit her enough, she just puts out a huge spread and just pulls up this giant mecha from the sand made of scrap parts and inserts herself in it like a Titanfall pilot and just expands her webs through all of its mechanics and brings it to life and tries to attack you with it.
I think that would fit into this perfectly.
I think so, because imagine wire bugging up to the top of it, and it's kind of like a pseudo Zora Magdaros.
I feel like there's a lot they could do with that.
Yeah,
and it fits with the theme of the game too. I feel like.
I think that'd be super cool. But one can hope. But
yeah, I would love to see Nergante come back for sure.
Yes,
I think that'd be a nice nod to World,
mm-hmm.
Or something like that. I feel like they'll find a. I don't want to confine myself in time. I feel like they have to find a way to do something with the Gaiacris, because that's the most one that I see people requesting so much. It used to be Zinogre. People were we want Zinogre, and then they put Zinogre in, and now it's okay, we want the Gaiacris.
Yeah, people
badly.
Will freak out when Gaiacris is out. Do you know the reason that they keep saying that they can't do Legiacris? Because they have addressed it before.
No, what do they say?
So Legiacris being a Leviathan class monster. They've been pretty open about this. They say that they're having trouble. That they have trouble because Legiacris was in the sort of demo footage for early World. It fought an Anjanath.
Oh yeah.
In that early footage, and so people are like, "Oh my god, Legiacris is going to be back in Monster Hunter World," but it never ended up happening because they were having trouble. Because there's a lot of sections of his stomach, since he's a Leviathan monster, that are going to be touching the ground. And with the different elevations of the ground, they had trouble keeping them all, I guess, stuck to the ground. In their sort of modeling process and trying to keep him, because some monsters can be in different elevations. If there's a small gap, some monsters' back legs will be higher than their front legs if they're in a specific position. So they were having trouble with that, and other Leviathan monsters in that class as well. So they decided to scrap him. We have Royal Ludroth, who is technically a Leviathan, but and I think
he's smaller.
He's smaller, and
also not as many. Now I'm thinking about it, terribly not many changes in elevation. The elevation changes in this game are if you're wire bugging up to a cliffside or something. There's not
a gradual shift. Yeah,
I feel in World there were spots where the elevation would change in low points to you, because a big mechanic in World that wasn't in Rise was mounting the monster, and to do that you had to be able to jump off and attack the monster.
Yep.
So yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like they would have to significantly alter that monster's design to make it work, and they don't want to do that. They want to maintain true to the monster's design. Yeah, of course. Which that's understandable.
I mean, we have some other similar looking creatures that have a lot of stomach on the ground, like Mizutsune or Almudron, but their legs kind of pick them up a significant portion off the ground. So that's kind of the argument.
They decided to let Almudron to go into the ground wherever he is.
They just kind of had him phase into the ground.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wonder if it'd be cool if they did, because one of my favorite things they did in World was the Final Fantasy crossover where they got the Behemoth.
Oh my god, I don't think I ever beat that. I don't think I
did either. It was still super cool,
Oh,
though.
it's so cool.
Especially when they put out
realize
the.
how huge. Like, he was a massive. I was like, whoa.
Yes.
I've seen footage of Final Fantasy. I don't think they were that big.
No, they definitely scaled them up for sure. But I think it'd be cool if they did another crossover like that again with somebody. Because then they sent Rathalos over to Final Fantasy 14, and Rathalos was also in Smash as well.
Yes, he was a boss fight in World of Light.
So
okay,
opportunities there.
I mean, Capcom loves their crossovers, right? Like you had like the Devil May Cry Charge Blade and World. You have all sorts of like layered armor.
They did do that, yeah.
It was so cool. There was like Street Fighter, like layered armor, all the time in both games. I kind of just thought about this now, but because I was trying to think of crossover monsters from different series they could do, and Brock Matthews, if you're watching this, you're going to like this one a lot. Brock from the Outcast podcast. So they already did in Rise a collaboration with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Absolutely.
They get the layered Palico armor, layered Palamute armor. They gave us the layered armor for the Hunter, where he's dripped out in like modern clothes. Have you ever played Sonic Adventure 2, Eric?
I've seen Sonic Adventure 2. I have not had the pleasure of playing it.
Do you know what the Bio Lizard is? Furious typing.
Sonic
it is
Adventure
the
2.
final boss of Sonic Adventure 2.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, that could totally work.
I think
I don't see why that
would
why would that be a
so cool in Monster Hunter.
that you just have to tweak the design a little. That would naturally fit, though. I feel like that's perfect. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, if there was ever, I mean, I feel like that might be a little, I don't know. That's probably a pipe.
Too much.
That's probably a pipe dream, which is not uncommon for me. I still hold out hope that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky is going to get remade. So do not listen to me on my crazy speculation trains. But Capcom, I think a Bio Lizard fight in Monster Hunter would be pretty freaking sick.
Absolutely. I mean, they've done some crazy stuff before. They did, I remember in World, they had the Horizon Zero Dawn crossover.
Oh, I guess they also had the Witcher 3 crossover, didn't they? Like they added
they added the Leshen.
Yeah,
which, oh, dude, fuck the Leshen.
Dude, I hated that fight so much.
It's so fucking annoying. Yeah, they did do that, though. I forgot.
And that's like a humanoid monster. Like that was really weird for Monster Hunter to do.
Yeah, it was. So they can do some stuff. I guess
maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree. Maybe it's more possible than I think.
They should do it. Let's make it happen. Sonic's more popular than ever, so let's make it happen.
Tweeting it out after this recording.
Yeah, I'm gonna
to my 15 followers. That'll get the ball rolling.
Tag Capcom and Sega,
of course,
for sure. So,
but
no, but Tyler, I think we've reached a good stopping point. I'm at about a comfortable length I like for my episodes, but dude, this flew by. Thanks, man. This was a blast.
Yeah,
this is so fun.
I'm used to recording like 2.5 hour episodes with Colby when we just don't even pay attention to the time. So I look down at the timer. I'm like, whoa, how did we get here so fast?
Absolutely. I keep them at an hour and a half because it keeps my my home life happy.
So yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
You won't get any backlash from me there. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for having me on. This is fantastic. I rarely get to nerd out about Monster Hunter with anybody, so this has been a real treat.
Oh, anytime you want to come on and do it, just let me know for sure. And we'll have to get next time. I guess just shoot me a message or something. Next time you're gonna jump on with Morgan, shoot me a message, or maybe if you're on, just shoot me a message. See if we can hook up here and get some hunts in. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. The podcasting boys hitting the streets, hitting the jungle, fighting some monsters. That sounds great.
Oh baby, that does sound.
I don't know,
great.
when you get the squad together for a hunt and you're all on the ball, it's like there's no other feeling like it, man.
It's a party. It's absolutely great. I mean, you talk about your squads from Call of Duty. It's like they don't hold a candle to your.
They don't hold a candle
squads.
to your hunting
No
party.
way.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So one last time, why don't you tell everybody where we can find you, what you do, and all your socials. Shill, whatever you like, shill away.
Sure. So as I said, I am co-host of Switch It Up podcast with my amazingly talented friend Colby, who is absolutely the brains of the podcast. He came on this podcast and talked so well about me and not enough about himself. He is the better half of the podcast by far. And you all should listen to the podcast for him alone because he is great. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, basically wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we also have a Twitter account and an Instagram that we post on when episodes come out. Our schedule, we're on season 4 of our podcast series. We've been doing it for 3 years. We came off a bit of a hiatus as we are currently getting into more of our, I guess, adult lives. Like, we have a lot more responsibilities. I have an internship this summer, so we took a hiatus to try and figure out what we were going to do with that. But now we're back. A little less inconsistent, a little more inconsistent on the uploads. It's more going to be loosey-goosey. We're trying to just get episodes out weekly on a day that ends in Y. So
there you go.
A bit more of a casual upload schedule, but we are trying to make them of a much higher quality. Thanks to having such an amazing community, including Eric, to sort of draw inspiration from. So,
man,
yeah. If you want to hear us talk about Fire Emblem 3 Hopes for almost 3 hours, that's our newest podcast episode. And some of our backlog is okay, so I wouldn't mind if you go and listen to those too. But I'll leave you guys to find the socials if you go to the podcast page. They'll always be in the description. And one last thank you to you, Eric. This was just awesome. This has been a bucket list thing. I've been ever since I heard in the Colby's episode that you said you wanted to do a Monster Hunter episode with me. I was like, no way he said that, bro. I got to get ready. I've been thinking about this. So thank you so much. This has been really great. You run a tight ship here, and it's great to be a crew member for a day.
Yeah, a tight ship. Just don't mind the sinking part of it back there. Absolutely not. No.
Oh, come on.
You honor me with your words, Tyler. Thank you very much. And one half, both you guys, each a great half of a great whole show, I must say. Don't miss Switch It Up podcast.
Thank you.
It's part of my weekly routine now. Although, like you said, I have to wait for whenever that day and Y comes now.
We already missed a week because of our busy life schedules already. So we're already starting to slip on the weekly thing, but we're getting into a bit of the groove now. So our golden wildfire route, we collabed with another podcast, our Random Gamers Corner, Alejandro, to do that.
Shout out to Alejandro.
So that'll be coming out soon as well, and we're recording a general episode tomorrow because there's a Pokemon Presents coming out tomorrow. So
that is tomorrow.
Yeah, lots of stuff coming down the pipeline, so you won't want to miss it.
Absolutely.
So thank you for allowing me to shill.
No problem, man. And like I said, you honor me coming on the show. And all of those socials, I'll snag them from you. Tyler's socials, my socials will be linked in the episode description, so you can easily find wherever you want to talk to us at. And yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, tweet at us on Twitter for sure and talk, because we'll, like you can see in this episode, we will nerd out about Monster Hunter stuff. So definitely go ahead and tweet at us for sure. One more time, Tyler, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. I knew as soon as Rise came out that I wanted to have you on as soon as we became, like, once you say Monster Hunter to like a person, like, you're instantly friends. Like, that's what it is.
I was about to say, it's just like that. Both liking Monster Hunter is just an instant, like, tight friendship right there. So also, guys, sure, go listen to the rest of this guy's like podcast episodes. They're so good. Like, they're so well produced, man. The Mario World video, I could not stop. I could not stop listening to it. A+ acting from our friend Eric here at the beginning. Oscar award-winning skit, I have to say. With the Nostalgia Reaper concept, I was laughing the whole car ride to work the other day. It was great.
Trying to pretend to talk to Yoshi is a tall order. Definitely. I
can only imagine the editing effort that went into that intro scene. I was like, okay, this is quality stuff right here.
It's about 3 hours for all that Yoshi stuff. So yeah, that was great, and that was not even as tight as I wanted it to be. So yeah, it was great. But thank you. Like I said, I really do appreciate it. And
of course.
To sign off, guys, I'm just going to offer you this bit of advice. Remember to always eat before you hunt.